Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Todd Klindt's SharePoint podcast number 300. Holy crap. Recorded live August 1st, 2016. I am your host, Todd Klindt, and today, because of I'm doing some community service, I've been asked by the judge to help out some people less fortunate than me. So I've asked Shane to co-host with me today. Shane, you want to say something to nice people?
You're welcome.
Yeah. So in reality, what happened here was this was my way of telling Shane that I'm going to be gone next week and that he's going to have to fill in again. So that was it. But we're both here this week. We're going to be tag teaming this thing. Before we get in here, though, I got to give a shout out to the folks at Rackspace. Head on out to sharepoint.rackspace.com and www.rackspace.com/Microsoft to find out all the things we do. Of course, things are more exciting when you're following me, so follow me on toddklindt.com, at Todd Klindt. You can email me. I'm on Instagram. Shane, do you still do that internet thing? Do they have the internet where you live?
So wait, I think I have the internet. It's you who they're going to find out is going without the internet today. But yeah, you can hit me up right on boldzebras.com or at Shane's Cows. Also got a YouTube channel that we're going to talk about. We'll save that way at the end. So.
Oh, I did see that. So that was below the fold on the notes, but I see that now.
Yeah, you get all the shameless promotion. So I decided this week we're going to shamelessly promote this guy.
I hope my internet connection dies before we get to that part. So let's move on to production notes. So I've got a OneNote that has everything for this week's production notes. It just says, oh boy. So for those of you that have been paying attention for the last 35, 40 seconds, this is episode 300. But if you go out to YouTube or to my RSS feed or anything, the last one out there is 297. So I did 298 2 weeks ago, and that was right after I moved and got caught up in all that. And then Shane did 299, or I've completely lost count. But anyway, there's a couple of them in the hopper yet. I produced one of them today, and I'll upload all that tonight, and then we'll try to get caught up. But then next week I'm going to be gone again, so we're going to get behind. But I was telling Shane before we went on the air that the folks at IT Unity have expressed an interest in helping me out with the podcast and putting it up on there. And one of the things they offered to do was the production stuff. And I'm beginning to think that maybe they're going to be a little more responsible with that than I have been lately. So we may have Eric and those guys do that.
Yeah, I'm guessing that you're going to have to write them very large checks once they realize how much effort it takes to listen to your voice and add little notes to your content. They're going to be like, ah!
There'll be just mass quittings at IT Unity. It's going to be a skeleton crew, and that's they'd be happy to have me. That's what they say in all these emails I have.
If they were publicly traded, I would sell my stock right now.
You'd short it all. Is that what you're saying? So hopefully I'll try to get this all cut up because, again, I'm going to be on vacation next week, and I'm going out in to the Wisconsin Dells. I don't know what kind of internet access I'm going to have out there, so I can't imagine that I'll be able to finish any of this. And let's be honest, I wouldn't do it even if I could. I sat in a hotel room all week last week, completely forgot about this, had everything I needed to do it, and just didn't.
How do you forget about these fine people? They all put up with you, all 7 of them put up with you every year, every day, and you forget about them. It's so rude.
Well, traveling for work and all the things, I just drink myself into a stupor every night. Actually, I was, glued to the TV watching the Democratic National Convention, just couldn't get enough. So that was...
Are we talking about politics, or are we going to skip that topic here? Because I
was trying to find the most boring thing that I could think of, and that was it. But no, so I was out in Blacksburg, Virginia. We've got an office out there. Had a great time, and but that's why you had to put up with Shane last week. That's why I haven't produced it. The dog ate my homework, and all that. So let's move on to some topics. We've got some things to talk about. The first one that I wanted to talk about is the much maligned Microsoft Band 2, the Deuce. I saw a report on Windows Central that it is on sale at Amazon for $100, $99.99. Now, this is the Band 2 right here. I'm a big fan of the Band 2. As a matter of fact, I've got it charging right now because after this podcast is over, I'm going to go for a run, and I'm going to use the Band 2 to keep track of it. I think the Band 2 is worth $100. I know Shane had a Band 1 and didn't like it. Matter of fact, it
No,
is this band one.
So Shane liked his band one, right? Shane just works in a little cubicle and doesn't move enough during the day to utilize it. So that was why Shane got rid of it.
Yeah. So the band 2, obviously much better. I get my notifications on it. It does all kinds of good stuff. But it's also the run thing. But if you're doing any kind of fitness, it's got a golf thing, so you might like the band 2. It's got the thing that counts your strokes for you, which means you can't cheat and lie anymore. So maybe that.
Golf is all about cheating. Now, I did notice, though, it's only the Band 2 mediums that are $99. So the Band 2 and small is like $150, and the Band 2 and large is $180. So the pricing is only for the mediums. So don't get everybody too excited.
Oh yeah. So I guess I think I wear a medium. So that's but it is the medium. You're right. That is the. Though I would say that it's worth the 100 and whatever for the other sizes. But it's been a good little thing, fitness tracker. I know some people have had problems. I am on my second Band 2 because the way that it's built, the rubber cracks here in the corner. But I just walked in. I bought mine on Amazon, and I walked into a Microsoft store, and I'm like, this thing is crap. And I threw it down on the counter, and they just gave me a new one. So they seem to support it pretty well.
One of these days you're going to get arrested when you walk into a place like that and just, do it. I'm going to be so happy.
So you guys know me well enough. I would never do this, but I was in San Antonio a couple of years ago with Justin, our marketing guy, and we went to the Microsoft store there. And the whole time, that jackhole's walking around, going, "Do you know who this is? Do you know who this guy is? This guy's a Microsoft MVP. That's right. Maybe you've heard of it." And he's going around bringing my webpage up on all the computers and all that. I'm like, "Oh my god, you are so horrible." Yes, but yeah.
Well, and so speaking of Amazon, though, I did want to sneak in there a little nugget that only I would understand because the rest of you don't have Windows Phone anymore. But I got an email last week, and the Amazon app on Windows Phone, they're dropping support for that on August 15th. That was very sad for me. That was like one of the apps that actually worked, and they're like, "Yep, you're cut off. No more Amazon shopping for my phone."
I have a Windows Phone. I use it to prop the door open because the door it kind of swings shut, and I use that to just keep the air flowing. So yeah.
Well, there you go. Can't buy anything from Amazon anymore either. It's very, very sad.
You're the only guy. So the other thing I wanted to talk about was for those of you that haven't upgraded to Windows 10 yet, it's been out for a year, and Microsoft said that they would give you a year free upgrades, and that is over. So if you've not upgraded your Windows 7 or Windows 8.1 PC to Windows 10, no free Windows 10 for you.
Yep, they are done. Well, it's interesting, right? A lot of people thought they'd extend the deadline. They'd do this whole, keep delaying it, and it looks like they're going to hold steady this time. So good for them.
Yeah, and I think, and I haven't got the numbers. Well, you've got some of the numbers in here for the next bit. They got a lot of upgrades, and I think the free thing helped with that. The other thing that I read is that, and I honestly, I feel a little dishonest mentioning it, but apparently there is a backdoor way around this. There is a way today, if you hear this and you're like, "Oh my God, I forgot to do it," there is a way to get that upgrade for free still today. And I haven't read the details on it because I've upgraded all my stuff, but apparently it has something to do with some accessibility update or something. They're giving the upgrade away to people who need the accessibility things, so there's some way to get into it that way.
Now to be fair though, right? It's going to be a month before you produce the show, so in a month when people see it, it's definitely just going to be completely over. So yeah. In reality, this news bit is helping no one right now.
By the time this thing makes it to YouTube, the Microsoft band will have been discontinued for 6 to 8 months. Nobody alive will remembers that there even was a Windows Phone. This is all true.
I mean, we're just talking into a black hole at this point. So I just want to make sure you're thinking about that as you're doing the up-to-the-minute updates.
Yeah, fair assessment. Yeah, hot off the presses. This just in, war in Europe. So, but if you haven't upgraded to Windows 10, I've got it on all my machines now. I've waited out for a while. I've got a couple of machines that have multiple monitors and things like that, and that had some issues coming out, but everything's Windows 10 I've got now, and it's treating me pretty well.
Yeah, no complaints.
Now, I know you've got a Surface Pro 4, and that has not been a positive thing, but I don't think that's Windows 10. I think that's the hardware.
Yeah. Mine is, it just won't wake up from sleep. End of the day, that's what it is. It's a power driver that they keep claiming they fix in every release, and every release we just laugh and say, still haven't fixed it. So.
Yeah, and that's been tough because I've got a Surface Pro 2 and I use it moderately. I got it right before the Surface Pro 3s came out, so I wasn't going to buy another one right away. But when the Surface Pro 4 came out, I'm like, maybe this is the one. Maybe I just do the even-numbered ones. It's kind of like what Star Trek movies, you only watch the even-numbered ones. But then, you jumped on it right away to a bunch of other people, and I've seen nothing but problems, so I've held off.
Yeah, I keep trying to think of an excuse to take mine to the Microsoft store and get new hardware from them, right? Do the whole, I need a new one for X. Because, like with my Windows Phone, remember these things? I had a lot of problems with it. I finally took it in and complained. They gave me new hardware, same OS, same all that builds, and everything just worked. So I'm wondering if maybe with the Windows or with the Surface Pro 4, I might have some similar luck.
It might, and it seems to be some very specific scenarios at this point. It seems to be the power thing, the sleep thing, and the multiple monitors thing. Seems to be the two things that still vex it a little bit. Everything else they've mostly figured out.
And I think the multiple monitors has been fixed anyway, and probably 2 updates ago, because they fix it every time. 2 updates ago when they said they fixed it that time. I haven't had a problem with them since. I did switch to HDMI through my adapter. I don't know, maybe that was part of the fix. I've had good luck though. So.
Well, that's excellent. So building on this, the free upgrades are over. But if you do have Windows 10, pretty quickly here, Microsoft's going to be pushing out the anniversary update. And supposedly that's supposed to start tomorrow. And by tomorrow, I mean August 2nd, 2016, Common Era. Yeah.
I'm glad you covered the year and the timestamp.
Yep. Well, you never too sure how long this is going to take. And so that's going to be cool. So this has been one of those things. I've talked a bunch on the podcast about the Insider program and the fast rings and all that. So a bunch of us have already been seeing some of these updates. But Microsoft promised, with Windows 10, we're going to do this fast development, this agile development. And the anniversary update is one of those promises. And that's something that's going to come out. It's going to have a bunch of updates to Cortana, things like that. So that's going to be good. I've got a couple of machines that I keep off of the fast ring that upgrade normally, and so I'll be curious to see when it finally rolls out for me.
Yeah, and I think you mentioned Cortana, right? We get the ink update. We also get supposedly they're going to change it so that Hello, you have to press a button essentially to tell the camera to start looking for you, which should cut down on some of the battery issues some people have, right? Because Hello just kicks on and burns. They said they're doing it as a security fix to make sure that there's another interaction, but I feel like it's a power fix.
Yeah. I don't have a Windows Hello capable camera anywhere, so I have not gotten to play with that portion of it. Yeah, I'm kind of disappointed. Yeah,
so Hello on the phone, meh, right? 'Cause it's kind of a small little target, but the Surface's Hello camera is, I can literally walk in the room and it's like, Shane's eyes, yay! And it logs me in. It's
dull gray look. Yeah. So I think was it Ignite last year when Joe Bellafiore was demonstrating this, and the Hello camera was sensitive enough that he had to cover it on stage because him just walking past it, because he had a machine set up for each thing that he was demoing. Just walking past it was enough to trigger it, so he had to cover up. And that's actually where I got the idea, complete non sequitur. I have a little, because this is what he did. He just had a little cleaning rag that he covered his camera with, and so I have this little screen cleaning thing, and I use this to cover the camera on my phone or my PC when I'm not using it.
So speaking of that, now we're going to get way off in left field.
Take it away.
So one of the things I've always wondered, right, because we have all these problems with the cameras. They're like, the evil people can make your camera come on without the little light coming on that says that the camera's on. Yes. Like, this is pretty simple electronics, right? If you just make it so that the power for the lens is routed through the power for that little LED, anytime the lens is getting power, the LED has to be on because electricity is it seems like such an easy fix for the hardware manufacturers. I don't know why any of them haven't done it and said this is a security update for their camera hardware.
Yeah, so for me, I mean, I agree. I think for me, it's just as easy as putting a damn shutter on there, even without rewiring and just putting something that flops down. And some have that, and I've thought about getting those. And I think I've told the story on the podcast before. I never really got too worried about that because I'm like you. I'm like, they're smart guys. They figured this out. If they want to make that light come on when the camera comes on, they'll do it. That's just the way it is. When I got this new Logitech C920 camera, updated all the stuff, and was going through tweaking things. I don't remember what I clicked, but I would be doing my podcast. I would be seeing myself on my screen, and the light would not be on my camera. And turns out there was just a switch in the settings for the camera. Don't show the light when the camera's on. And I'm like, oh my God, it is that easy. I mean, there's just like a registry setting somewhere. And that's when I started getting freaked out about it because...
Oh, and just like that, it looks like we just lost Todd. See, the bad people know that he's been looking at his camera and spying, and no more Todd. So now, if you guys are wondering what's happening, so Todd's cable modem is melted, so he is now frantically taking his headset off. He's running across his house. He's got the big new fancy house, so it's a long run. He's probably winded. He's got to go unplug his cable modem, count to 10, which is also hard for him. Right? He's got to get the fingers. And then he's going to be able to plug it all back in, come back, log in, and try all of it again. So the good news is I'm just going to plow through while he's not here, and we'll actually cover some interesting stuff without Todd. So we talked about the anniversary update. So the next thing that he was supposed to do is say, when will you get the anniversary update? So it is tomorrow, August 2nd, but as part of that, it's going to kind of come out in waves. And so with the waves, it's going to depend on, they're actually going to do Surface owners first, yay, and then PCs that originally came with Windows 10, et cetera, et cetera. I'm guessing they'll have put in enough bandwidth that it'll, most of us get it in pretty timely fashion, but maybe not. So it'll be interesting to really see, starting tomorrow, how long does it really take for the whole world to get the anniversary update pushed. But not a lot of, we kind of covered the changes, so we're good. All right. So that's the anniversary update. Also wanted to point out the Windows 10 Insider program. They had their 1-year anniversary. Todd mentioned, both him and I are in the program. A lot of you are in the program as well. So hopefully you got the email. I think the interesting facts, right? There's been over 8.6 million pieces of feedback. I can't even imagine how difficult that must be to deal with. There has also been 443 million hours on Windows 10. I don't even know what that number is. It's a big number. And then finally, for all your hard work, they really wanted to say thank you. We appreciate you guys dealing with all those crappy versions we put out along the way, providing, 8 million pieces of feedback. They gave us all new backgrounds. So there's now a new version of NinjaCat. Oh, you wonder what's wrong with them, right? When they're like, hey, our big thank you is a desktop background for your computer, phone, or tablet that is a picture of a cat wearing a ninja thing. I don't know. It's almost insulting. But I did make it my background, so I guess I can't be saying I'm too insulted by it all. All right, so the free wallpaper is that, the Insider program is in 30 different languages, so if you haven't joined before and you have any interest, it's a great little program. Right? There's the slow ring, the fast ring, and then the no ring. I think right now I'm actually in the slow ring. I don't know. I kind of move between the two just depending on my particular mood that day. So, all right. So then that brings us to the next piece of interesting information. Oh, there's Todd. So he's we won't start this section without Todd. He's so close. Todd, are you winded? Do you need to get some water from running all the way across the house?
Hey, everybody. Miss me?
No, they did not.
Probably didn't even notice I was gone.
You had left a natural pause when you got cut off, so I just hopped right in. It's just smooth like butter.
Smooth. I was just gonna say smooth like butter. Yeah, I did. So my cable modem is just down the hall here, but went out there, made a sandwich, watched a little television. And Felt bad.
They were happy. Apparently, my audio is better. Your audio is so bad on this particular show that when you get kicked off, my audio got better.
Really?
Yeah. So, all right, but before you get kicked off again, I was just about to transition into Verizon buying Yahoo for $4.8 billion.
That's a lot of billions.
Once again, that'll be old news by the time people get this podcast, but, I think the idea is we just want to kind of talk about that and just dive into, how the world is changing.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of what, so a lot of people have been asking themselves why Verizon would buy Yahoo for a lot of different reasons. And I think the answer is what you just said. The world's changing. Verizon's not just a telephone and television company anymore. Yahoo's not just a search engine and internet traffic company anymore. And I think I think Verizon is seeing the future. And with as much revenue and profit as Verizon has, this Yahoo purchase was kind of just a blip. So it was a cheap hedge for them to bet on.
Yeah. Well,
what's your take on it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you, right? It's this mass consolidation. If you've got the money to buy these pieces, right, start to just continue to expand your portfolio, expand your reach. It's all about getting to number of active users. That seems to be one of those things that Wall Street really likes to judge companies on these days. And if you go and you buy, Yahoo, you buy a bunch of active users. You're like, ha, that metric crushed. So Wall Street can pick on something else next quarter.
Yeah, So I listened to the Slate Money podcast, and they brought up an interesting point about all this. Number one, that Yahoo is just basically free for Verizon, given their revenues, but that what Verizon has is a lot of eyeballs. This market, this audience that you talk about, both on little screens on phones and on big screens on TVs. And what Yahoo has is advertising experience for the next version of advertising. And so for $4.8 billion, Verizon's like, well, we can maybe find a way to figure out better on phones who people are, and eventually TVs who people are, target ads to them, and Yahoo's got that. We can try it for cheap, for basically free.
Yeah.
And that was kind of their thought on why that would happen.
Well, I also, speaking of Verizon and things are free, I don't know if anyone else noticed, but today Verizon also bought a company called Fleetmatics for $2.4 billion today, right? It was such a non-event, no one even cared, didn't even make mainstream news. And so Fleetmatics, none of you have heard of them, right? But they essentially install software that manages like service fleets and things like that. So the trucks out in the field. So I'm guessing that Verizon was probably spending $2.4 billion a year for them to manage their fleet. And they're like, wait, we can just buy you for the same price?
Yeah.
But it's the same idea, right? So it's about, okay, well, now we want to go hedge our bets in the connected vehicle space. We could go figure it out, or we can buy a company who's already doing it for the service industry. And maybe that's Verizon's step into, hey, Tesla, you guys need to start, having our programs. And here, we've already written it. We've already got the tech. And they're just, like you said, for $2 billion, it's worth a shot to see if we can get into that industry. So.
Yeah, and even if they don't, I recently listened to it was either a Planet Money or a Freakonomics podcast about UPS, and the ridiculous returns. They travel so many millions of miles that the ridiculous returns they get on making small changes has huge returns. So things like, they redesigned the door so the driver didn't have to open it the same way, and it shaved 2 seconds off of each delivery, but you multiply that out. And so Verizon has so many service vehicles and all that kind of stuff. If this Fleetmatics has something they could use, they might just get $2.4 billion in return in the next couple of years, even if they don't sell it. I mean, it might be that big of a return for them.
Yeah, well, that's it, because then now they can control how those guys innovate, right? So instead of saying, hey, we suggest you add this feature, it's you will add this feature tomorrow. And apparently, so Fleetmatics, I think the big burgeoning market for them is Europe. So they're really, a heavy player here in the U.S., but they finally got a foothold, and they're starting to offer some of their services over in Europe. And I think that's where Verizon's like, well, maybe it's all for the benefit like you are, and maybe they're just going to produce $2.4 billion. I believe they bought them for 5 times earnings, so they're only making 500 or so million right now. But
yeah, so that's an interesting thing. They bought Verizon for $4.8 billion. Do you remember how much Microsoft offered for Verizon that Verizon turned down?
Not anymore.
Roughly 10 times. It was in the neighborhood of 40 billion, in 2008 or whatever, and Yahoo turned them down. And I guess the other thing is, and I don't have all the information in front of me, but Verizon bought the intellectual property part of Yahoo, but they did not buy the part of Yahoo that owns the portions of Alibaba and some of that other stuff. So now that company has essentially just become a holding company, and I don't even know how that works. Like, does Alibaba buy them to buy itself back?
Good luck.
But that was and the numbers are so mind-boggling. Verizon's like, 4.8 billion, okay, like they flipped a coin in the back room, like, looks like we're buying them.
Well, I think that that points out like one of the mistakes. When I work with the startups, right? I always talk to them. They're like, I think my company one day could be worth $50 million, so I'm not going to sell for a penny less than $50 million because I'm going to get it there one day. And I'm like, if someone's giving you, offering you $2 million today, right? And that's a reasonable number based on your revenue and stuff. Take the money today. You get rid of the risk, right? Like, well, but I have faith in myself. I'm like, but the world changes, And I always use the example. I hate to bring it up, right? But it's the whole 9/11, right? Yeah. Everything was going great. Businesses were growing, yay, yay, yay. And then a plane flew into another building, and a lot of those businesses closed down, not by any fault of their own, just the world changed. So, take the money today.
Yeah, and you never know what's going to happen. I mean, that's a pretty dramatic example, a pretty clear one. But I mean, just think of all of the things that have been certain in any part of business and have gone away. Like, I remember the first time I held an Android phone. So Randy had one of the first Android phones, and I remember looking at that piece of crap and going, this thing will never unseat Apple. Now you got Samsung selling more devices than Apple does. So yeah, there's just nothing, and it's good to have faith in yourself, but hopefully you can translate that faith in yourself into faith on the next thing that you do. Use your $2 million, put $1 million of it in the bank, take your $1 million, start your next thing.
Exactly.
Nice. When we were talking about this earlier, we were mentioning the analogies that this had to people finding out that Verizon bought Yahoo and wondering why. We had the same reaction when we heard that Microsoft bought LinkedIn, and that's starting to make a little bit more sense as the weeks have gone by.
Yeah, the LinkedIn thing, right? That's an interesting one because in reality, none of us still know, right? Microsoft's never come out and said, this is the reason we paid that much money for it. But I think the first round of guesses were all about LinkedIn will just kind of be this new way to make Delve smarter, right? So now instead of having context around the people you already know, when you go to interact with some random new person you met, right, now you've got that kind of context brought to the equation, and hopefully get to a smarter solutions all the time. But then, today I was also reading about how Microsoft could be using this to get into the blockchain game, right? And so Microsoft's already got a blockchain as a service offering. Sounds like they've got some good momentum there, but it's a very burgeoning, very new technology. But one of the keys to making blockchain more trusted, right? The more you know about people, the better you are. Things like LinkedIn, that's a really solid data source of information about you, your company, your information, your friend chain. So gives the blockchain stuff really a big head start if that's where they're headed with it.
So can you give the listeners like a 30-second overview of what blockchain is and why this is valuable?
Oh gosh, I don't know. I'm probably not qualified for this one. But so blockchain, right, that's the stuff, Bitcoin's really the first time you guys all heard of it. Right? And yep. The idea of blockchain is, there's this registry of things that have happened, and they're known truths, and because all of these different processors are computing and rehashing it based on the last transactions and the last time tables, it's this really secure log of everything that's happened that it can't be faked because it breaks the encryption, and if it breaks the encryption, the whole damn chain falls apart and someone's lying to you. So blockchain, right? So Bitcoin's the first one to kind of do that model, trying to sell that cryptocurrency using it. But it turns out that the banking system is really interested. They're the ones that are paying the Microsofts and the IBMs in the world, hundreds of millions of dollars already to try and invest in it, because they want to be able to have all of their transactions be secure, known ledger up and down the stream. And also, the reason they want to see Microsoft take this next step with it with things like LinkedIn is today a lot of the blockchain as a service stuff is derived off of your credit score off of an Experian or someone like that, or your social security number, or information that is, yes, true, but the social security numbers are only good in the U.S. here, right? Your credit score is a U.S. based thing. And I was wondering why Todd hadn't cut me off and interrupted me yet. It's because he's frozen again. Ha ha! So he's doing this number again. But anyway, so blockchain as a service, the idea is instead of these people, these big banks and stuff having to go and figure out how to set up their own farms and all the hardware and all the pieces to make all this work, instead what's going to happen is that they are going to go to Microsoft, who just happens to have this thing called Azure, where they can provide blockchain as a service. So there will be an offering that they'll be able to then bring to the table. They'll sell it, and the thought process is that the LinkedIn stuff will just be another step in that stool into making it so that the trusted providers feel a lot better. I'd also like to point out that the chat room is applauding that the audio is much better because Todd is gone, so you're welcome. It's another good sign that Todd left the building. The other thing here is, the blockchain as a service. There's a link here. Todd will put on the recording, hopefully. But it's a really interesting piece around how IBM and Microsoft are really heavily invested right now in this blockchain as a service. And so while they're not really making big waves about it, they're actually investing pretty heavily behind the scenes and trying to move it forward. So if you're like me, I'm a stockholder in both Microsoft and IBM. I'm very interested in kind of how they see the future maturing. And this article we just posted here, it's a nice one. It just talks about how blockchain as a service is an offering that they both seem to find pretty compelling and they're investing in. While not doing it very loud and publicly, it is something they see as the future. And kind of to wrap all of this up, I don't know if you guys have ever seen it before, but there's a little infographic, and Lori's a great person, so you can post it in the chat room. This infographic, what it shows you is, kind of how the food industry has really been consolidated down to, about 9 or 10 players. Every brand of food that you guys eat, when you walk into Kroger or, H-E-B or whatever the store might be, and you look in the food shelves, while you see all these different brand names, in reality, Coke and Nestle and PepsiCo and Mars and a couple other people, they pretty much own all of those brands at this point, right? Because Coke just had infinite money, right? In the 70s through the 90s, Coke could not make money. They just printed out cash. And so like, hey, what do we do with this extra $1 billion? Well, we're going to buy this thing and this thing and this thing. And that consolidation happened. And so what you're going to see, the whole premise that Todd and I were working on here is that, people like Verizon has infinite money right now. So like, you know what? We're going to buy this stuff and this stuff and this stuff. And Comcast, they're like, hey, we got all this money. We're going to buy all this stuff. And Amazon and Microsoft and these big players. And one day we're going to have an infographic just like this where there's 10 technology companies left in the world. And I can tell my audio has gotten really bad again. So that must mean Todd is back.
Hey, everybody.
Oh, your audio is so bad.
Man, I'm not sure why. And I'm recording my side on Audacity also, so I'll be curious to hear why. If it's an internet thing or if it's actually the thing I'm recording with.
Yeah. Well, so what? So yeah, I got them through. We kind of talked about we finished the blockchain as a service stuff. I at one point I'm like, why hasn't Todd interrupted me yet to complain I'm explaining this wrong? And I realized it was because you were frozen. And so then we kind of talked about you heard the end of the food consolidation being the same as the tech consolidation. So I don't know if you want to add anything to that before we call it a show.
No, so I think, and I don't know how much you covered the blockchain thing. When Bitcoin first came out, everybody was all curious about whether it was going to be a legitimate currency and all those kind of things. And I found that kind of interesting. But the the idea behind this shared ledger that is the word of truth for all things, the blockchain aspect of it, was the part that I found really interesting, because there are so many places where that would be handy. Banking and all that kind of stuff, but even things like digital rights management, things like that. I mean, there's just so many places. If they can crack that nut and make it work, there's a bunch of places we're going to see that again. And yeah, here we are. So,
yeah, that's I think one of the things we talked about, right, was the idea that the people that are doing the blockchains today, a lot of it's based off of U.S.-based data, right? So, for example, they like to use credit scores and social security numbers and things like that as kind of their blockchain stuff. It's known truths. But as they start to expand their offerings to Europe and other places like that, there's just that stuff doesn't exist. They've got to find more information that's known truths, and the thought is that maybe LinkedIn is part of that chain of knowing your customer more.
Gotcha. All right. Well, let's move on to the self-promotion part before my internet connection craps out a third and final time. So going to be at Microsoft Ignite. That is September 26th through the 30th. You can go to ignite.microsoft.com and find out about that. That is in beautiful Atlanta, Georgia, and that is going to be a good time.
Yep, that's where I was born, so Atlanta's a great place, and that I'm still trying to weasel my way in there, so fingers crossed.
So it sounds like they kicked you out then, is what I'm hearing. You were born there, and you're trying to get back, and up in the air, and all that. So yeah, that's going to be a good time. It's going to be huge, obviously. If you're at Ignite, come find me. I'll be doing a couple of sessions, and I don't know if all that's out yet, so I need to find out about that before I talk about it. But come find me. I'm a pretty friendly guy. Last year we had a breakfast for all the podcast listeners and just people who read my blog and stuff like that. So we'll probably do something like that again this year. But that's September 26th through the 30th. And then a month later, I'm going to be speaking at SharePoint Days in Slovenia. That is October 24th through the 25th. What I didn't realize, so those folks in Slovenia, and Shane can attest to this, they've been trying to get me over there for 6 years, I don't know, 8 years. It's been a long time, and I've never gotten that going. So I was happy. I was already going to be in Europe for something else after that, so I agreed to all that. We got everything set up, and then I realized last weekend that one of my nieces is getting married October 22nd, which means I won't be able to fly out of here till October 23rd, which means I'm not going to get there until October 24th. But I talked to the folks in Slovenia about that. They're still going to let me show up, so I'm going to have to do whatever I do on that last day. So I'll be there October 25th. So if you haven't been to Slovenia, I've since been there for non-business things. It's a great place. So if you're going to be in the area, check out Slovenia, the SharePoint Days there.
I'm really hopeful that... Sorry.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, I'm really hopeful that it's really just kidnappers that want to, take you and lock you away and ransom you for a lot of money. Because then, as soon as they do that, I'm going to hack your bank accounts and make sure that Jill has no cash so that she can't buy you back. It'll be wonderful.
I don't know that you will have to do that. I imagine she'll be like, oh, that's terrible. You don't negotiate with boy, that's the rules. Tough luck, boy.
I've been sending her a lot of articles that say that, talk about the downsides of negotiating with terrorists recently. I might be priming that pump.
Yeah, well, at least I'll be kidnapped in a very beautiful place, and Yeah,
it's a wonderful country. I think you'll actually enjoy it, but I secretly hope.
So side tangent for this, I heard this hysterical story about smoking. I know. Everybody loves a good smoking story. So there's a guy that's a lead singer of a band called Lamb of God, a guy named Randy Bly. He was found guilty of murder in Slovenia or someplace over there, found guilty of murder, and went over there, was going to prison, was in the bus, and he's telling the story like he drove up to the prison, and because of some paperwork snafus, they couldn't get him in, so he's sitting outside and he's shackled in this bus, and he's looking at however many years in prison in this Eastern European country a long way from home. The driver of the bus knows who he is, and the guy's like, I'm really sorry. He's like, about this wait here, just take a drag off my cigarette or something. So Randy takes a drag off the cigarette, and he's like, and I'm sitting back and I'm thinking, this isn't so bad. And if you got to go to prison somewhere, this is a nice prison. This guy seems decent enough. Oh my God, what is in this cigarette? He's like, and that's when I decided I need to quit smoking because if it could take that situation and make it look good, I'm out. So if I get kidnapped, I just hope it's someplace I think is beautiful.
How did he get out to tell the story?
They ended up retrying him and found him not guilty. So the story was weird. The band was playing someplace over there, and I wish I could remember where. And a fan was killed at the concert. Of course, a horrible thing. But the authorities and the parents somehow tried to make the story that he had incited this and incited the thing with the kid getting killed. And to Randy's credit, he was back in the States when all this happened. They landed there. He got arrested. He found out about it. He got released, and he left. And he could have basically dodged the charges, but he's like, I'm gonna go find out, and he went back, and they found him guilty. He ended up going to trial again and found not guilty, and he's back over here. But crazy story, just absolutely crazy story. Anyway, so then from Slovenia, from Bled, Slovenia, I'm flying up to Stockholm, doing my thing with Joran that I do every year, and then I've got this weird note at the end of my shameless self-promotions. Shane's crap, is that?
Yep, that's called Shane's YouTube channel. It is live now. So, we talked about it last week, but clearly since you haven't produced the show, no one's heard about it. So I've been creating a YouTube channel that's been my step-by-step guides to installing SharePoint 2016, right? We start with a blank Hyper-V server. We build out all the VMs, make a domain controller, we install SQL, and we end with a SharePoint Server 2016 on-prem install, completely done. Pretty cool stuff. So everybody should check that out. If you don't want to check it out, you don't care, hit subscribe on my channel. Subscribers are very helpful.
So in all reality, they are, because YouTube, it's like a video game. YouTube unlocks things the more subscribers you have. Like, you can't have a personalized URL until you get X number of subscribers. You can't go live until you get Y number of subscribers.
It's bonkers the way YouTube does that stuff. But yeah, so that would definitely help me out if you guys are into it. And so then I'm going to do the same series using Azure as the host. I'm going to do then some of the hybrid stuff, so cloud search and the Azure AD stuff and my sites out there and 2013 stuff. I don't know. I'm going to try and, instead of going and writing SharePoint training again and starting another SharePoint training company and getting people to pay thousands of dollars to come and take the classes, which is very profitable. I don't know why I'm not actually doing that anymore. I'm going to try and do it all through YouTube and see how that works. So I don't know. We'll see.
Awesome. Well, good luck to you. And I have already subscribed to your channel with 2 of my accounts, my Google accounts. But to make it fun, maybe I'll unsubscribe and then resubscribe. I don't know. We'll see.
Can't wait.
All right. Well, I apologize for my internet connections issues. Apparently, my cable company is going to be out a week from tomorrow to fix them. So, no rush there. But thanks for Shane for showing up and holding things over while I reconnected. Tell everybody goodbye, Shane.
Goodbye, Shane.
Good night, Gracie. Yeah, so Shane will be here next week. And again, by next week, I mean August 8th, 2016, Common Era. And I will try to get caught up on these production things and get them up. So thanks, everybody. Have a good afternoon.